Hey everyone, thanks for joining this yoga practice to celebrate the Virgo new moon. Virgo is an earth sign represented by the maiden, and Virgo season can be a brilliant time to be practical, to serve others, and to create a supportive and nurturing environment as we transition towards the autumn season. If we're not careful, we can become overly critical or judgmental of others if they don't align to our values, and so it's important we remember the reason why we are pouring our energy into certain projects or into our family lives, and not get overly attached to the results. So today's yoga practice will be connecting us more to the root chakra. It will be grounding and nurturing while embodying that simplistic and slow earthy energy. Today we are looking to let go of the idea of perfection, but instead embracing the loving, kind energy of Virgo. If you wanted to bring along any crystals to this practice, you could take hematite, unakite, or red jasper. And if you want to bring along any essential oils, rosemary, lavender, or cedar would be really nice for this one. When you're ready, let's begin. Hi everyone, welcome to your Virgo new moon yoga practice. So we're actually going to start today right away with that grounding element in a mountain pose. Arguably one of the most grounding postures there is equal standing between both feet. So you probably want your feet hips width distance, maybe even a little bit wider. And you want the outer edges of your feet parallel to the outer edges of your mat. Just relax your arms alongside the body with the palms of the hands ever so slightly forwards. And just connect to your breathing. So I might recommend here, as long as you do feel safe, you feel stable, just closing off your eyes. Connect to the sound of the breath as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. And we're just going to start our grounding practice by bringing some awareness to the feet. So pressing all 10 toes into the earth, and notice maybe a quite subtle lift of the inner arches of your feet. And as you find those arches, you can let the toes relax down again, but try to keep that connection to the inner arches of your feet. Feel that sense of rooting through the heels. And it's almost like the energy is being drawn up through the feet, through the legs, as the quadriceps, the fronts of the thighs, begin to activate, as if they're drawing the kneecaps up. We find a neutral position through the pelvis. So the belly's not dropping down too far. It's not that your tailbone is tucking under, but we're in a neutral position. And sometimes finding both of these extremes can help us find the neutral pelvis as well. We notice that as we breathe, the ribs aren't flaring, but we're actually expanding three-dimensionally into the front of the ribs, the back of the ribs, the sides of the ribs. And the shoulders are melting down away from the ears. There's a heaviness through the arms, all the way through to the tips of the fingers. And we notice how we feel through the throat, through all the tissues of the face, as they relax, maybe even your eyelids are closed. And then very subtle, it feels like there's a piece of string attached to the crown of your head, and it works its way all the way down through the spine to the arches of your feet. And that piece of string is just being pulled up ever so slightly. And it feels as though your whole body is lengthening. There's a lightness, but there's a balance. There's a heaviness through the feet, through the foundations, but it's as though we're being lifted up in our mountain pose. You can always bring yourself back to this position at any point you'd like to during your practice. But for now, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And now we have the option to move this into a standing forward fold. So keep the feet exactly as they are. We're going to bring the hands to the waist, and as we inhale, I want you to imagine that your spine is being lifted even further, like someone's pulling you up from the rib cage. Your gaze is ever so slightly lifted. And then as we exhale, see if you can shift the weight forward into the toes. So we're not shifting the hips all the way back. We're not bringing the weight into the heels. Keep the weight in the toes. It can feel a little bit challenging here as you start to fold forward, shifting the weight forward. Keep your spine as long as possible. Keep the chin drawing away from the chest. Then you can bring your hands down to your thighs, shins. You could take your peace fingers towards your big toes, but keep shifting the weight forwards into the toes as far forward as you can. Engage through the fronts of the thighs and try to keep your knees as straight as possible without putting pressure on your lower back. So we're not curving through the spine, we're keeping it as tall as we possibly can. And then once you feel like you can't lengthen anymore, there's the option to stay there,
Or you could start to bring the crown of the head down towards the feet. And this is really just relaxing a little bit into the upper body, but we don't lose that integrity, we don't lose that strength of the legs and of the feet. Your shoulders are relaxed, they're not pulling you down. For just another deep breath in. Exhale fully. Then release your fingertips, bring your hands back to the waist. Now you might want a little bend through the knees here, but try to keep your spine straight as you come out the same way you came in. And then when you get to the top, release your arms, take a breath through the nose. And exhale fully. Now from here we're going to come into a chair pose. Now this is slightly more active, okay, it's a lot more active, but we're looking to again find that sense of rooting through the heels of the feet. So we're going to inhale, bring those arms forward just to lengthen the spine. Then as we exhale, we're going to bend the knees, sweep the arms back as we bring the weight back into the heels. Now you could keep the arms to palms at heart center, thumbs to sternum, or you could reach them up. I personally think thumbs to sternum is a little bit easier to calculate how we feel through the lower body. So maybe sink the weight down into the heels a little bit more. Don't stick your butt too far out the back, okay? We're keeping the tailbone drawing down. Keep the low belly gently engaged. You should be feeling this quite intensely through the foundations, through the feet, through the legs. For 3, 2, 1. Inhale, press through the heels, rise up, and exhale, mountain pose. Take a breath through the nose, and exhale fully. Now from here, we're just going to step the right foot or the left foot, whichever one you prefer, back a few feet, so 4 to 5 feet wide, and we're going to move into a warrior 2. So turn your back toes, for me this is the right toes, towards the back of the room, and then bend your right knee so it tracks over your ankle. Your back toes, your left toes are now turning in about 10 degrees. So we want these strong foundations pressing through both heels, pressing through the outer edges, so the pinky toe edges of both feet, so that the hips are actually drawing away from each other in this strong rooted connection. You're sinking that right thigh or that back thigh low. As you sink down, you find that strength, and then option to add the arms. You could always keep the hands together at heart center, but don't let the arms just relax. Don't keep them too active so they're up by the shoulders, almost like you're pressing the palms into something. There's a strength all the way, not just in the foundations, but all the way through the whole body, and you turn your gaze towards the middle finger of your right hand. We inhale, and then you could stay here, or as you exhale, bring your right forearm to right thigh, left arm alongside the ear, option to look up towards your left hand for extended side angle. And you could always bring your right hand to the floor on the outside of the foot if you prefer. I personally prefer to use the foundations of my legs in this practice, but you can add the arms as well if you'd like. Otherwise, stay strong. And don't drop too much weight into this right forearm, okay? You should be able to lift it with ease. For 2. And 1. As you inhale, press through that back heel, arms out, and just release your arms. If you want to release your legs, you could always just give them a little wiggle or step back to mountain pose to reset. Otherwise, bring your left toes to the back of the room. Don't worry about so much to the arms at the moment. We're going to find our warrior 2. So bend that front knee, in my case, left knee, maybe for you too. Sink low. Don't lose the connection to the outside edge of that right foot. Sink the outer foot into the earth. Keep pressing through the pinky toe side of the left foot so the hips open. We find space. That right hip peels open, spine is long, and then option to add the arms. So they're not hanging out, they're not just flapping around. We're not trying to just fly away here. Strong, all the way, all 5 fingers pressing towards each other, and then it's like they're pressing into something. Strong arms. And it's like there's a very slight pull of that back arm backwards so your shoulders remain over your hips. Inhale. Exhale, left forearm to left thigh, right arm up and alongside the ear. So it's a diagonal line. Again, we don't want to drop too much weight into this left forearm. We want the majority of the work to be through the legs, through the foundations. Gaze up or gaze to neutral or even down. And don't lose the outer connection of that right foot, or the back foot, I should say. As we inhale, come back up. And then as we exhale, you could step your feet back to your mountain pose at the front of the mat. We'll take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale. We're going to take a tree pose. So we want that same strength through the left leg that we cultivated in our mountain pose. We want that same work, but this time we're rotating the right hip. So you could bring the heel of the foot towards the left ankle. You could just work with this rotation. You could bring the sole of the foot to the calf, or you could close off the knee joint to bring the sole of the foot towards the inner thigh. Try not to yank the foot to bring it there. It may stay there on its own, or it may not. So you could bring one hand to prayer or both hands to prayer. And don't just try to keep that strength just through the leg, but actually keep working through the spine itself. So almost as if that string is being pulled up from the arch of the foot, and the right foot is pressing into the standing left leg, and the left leg is pressing back into the sole of the foot. Your thumbs are pressing into your sternum, or your thumb is pressing into the sternum, and it may be pressing back into the opposing hand. Keep your shoulders soft. Hopefully that standing leg feels quite fired up. For 3, maintaining breathing. 2 and 1. Inhale, bring your right leg through center and release, and then switching sides. So right leg is strong, find the rotation through the left leg, heel to ankle, maybe just work on that rotation as you find that strength through the right leg, that standing roots of the tree, maybe sole of the foot to the calf, maybe closing off that knee joint to bring the sole of the foot to the inner thigh. And sometimes it's not about flexibility, it's not about strength as to whether that foot stays there on its own. Sometimes you've just got slippery leggings on or something. So if the foot stays there, great. If not, don't worry about it. Let go of judgment. Remember, we're not going for perfect in this practice. All you Virgos, like me, okay? We're just trying to see what happens, see where we go, and let go of judgment. Embrace that grounding quality. If you wobble, great. You've got another thing to learn. If that's part of the practice. We want to wobble, we want to fail, we want to understand that it's not about accumulating postures or shapes. It's about the practice. Find that strength through the standing leg. And then as you inhale, bring your left knee through center. Exhale, mountain pose. Take a breath through the nose. And exhale fully. We're going to make our way to seated, and we're going to get there through a Garland pose. So bring your feet a little bit wider than hips width now. You want your toes facing out about 45 degrees. Thumbs to sternum, that same strength. If you can, stay rooted through the heels of the feet during this transition. If they come up, that's okay as well. Okay, just do your best. Inhale, tall spine, and then as you exhale, start to bend the knees. Now, really important, you want your knees to be tracking the same direction as the toes. They're not bucking in or collapsing out. And we're keeping the spine as tall as possible. So it's like you're sitting directly down to the space between your heels. Keep going. If you need to adjust with blocks, of course you can do so. Otherwise, see if you can come all the way down. You could use your hands for support, or continue to press your thumbs to your sternum to your thumbs, and see if you can find the outer edges of those feet on the yoga mat. So don't let everything collapse. Stay strong, stay open. For 3, for 2, and 1. We're going to make our way to a seat, so bring your hands either forward or behind you as you just sit your hips down and bring your legs out in front. And we're going to come into a seated forward fold. So similar how we did in our standing forward fold, it's the same intention, but it's a little bit harder because we're already halfway down. If you compare this to mountain pose, we'd be flat on our back. So bring the hands to the outside of the hips. You could stay here, or you could even lean back a little bit. You could also bend your knees. But if you want that same root strength, we're going to flex those toes back, and we're going to engage through the fronts of the thighs, the quadriceps. So you want those trunks of the trees still strong, even though they're not on the floor or not pressing into the floor in this pose. Same intention. You could stay with this, or once again, peace fingers towards your big toes. Now you'll notice you're already pretty deep into the hamstring stretch here. You're already pretty deep into the flexion, so you could stay with this, or inhale, lead with the chin, lead with the chest. Don't let the spine round, don't let it collapse. And then once you're down, then you have the option to bring your head towards your knees or your chin towards your shin, or you could keep your spine open, which is actually a lovely stretch in its own right. Maybe you want to keep the hands to the big toes, or wrap your hands around the sides of the feet, but keep puffing your chest forwards. Stay strong through the fronts of the thighs and keep flexing those toes back.
Finish your exhalation. Then as you inhale, come up with a flat back. Again, you can bend your knees. And then bend your knees and come to lay down on your back. And we're going to finish off with a spinal twist. It's a really lovely way of resetting the spine. So hug both knees into the chest. And we're just going to lower the knees over to the right side. And you may need to press your hips slightly to the left to do that. Left arm out. Maybe gaze towards the left hand. Inhale back through center. Use your hands to help you. And exhale, lower to the left side, maybe bring your right arm out, look towards the right hand. Inhale back through center. Hug your knees in as you exhale. And then bring your legs out long. And exhale into Shavasana. Find complete stillness, relaxation. Let go of tension, let go of expectation, let go of perfection, and just be still. I strongly encourage that you stay resting here in your meditation, your reflection for as long as possible, and see if you can just find that sense of grounding and relaxation. However you spend your Virgo new moon, I wish you all the best. Namaste.